Hello, lovely one. Welcome back to another episode of Rockabye Revenue. Today, I am talking about pay what you can, or tiered pricing, whether it's something you should consider or not. Now, I'm talking about this today because this came up in my community recently. So, as you may know, I train people to become incredible hypnobirthing teachers, and we have a fabulous community of our students and graduates. And one of the recent questions that came up with some recent graduates was, when pricing my services, should I have like a tiered system where instead of having a set price for what I offer, let's say it's a group hypnobirthing course or whether it's a one-on-one, rather than having a set, specific, clear price, should I have 3 options so that people can choose based on what they can afford? So this might be where you have a low price, a medium price, and a high price. Okay. Now, I get why people consider this. So whether you're listening and you are indeed a hypnobirthing teacher or an aspiring one, or maybe you run some other kind of birth or baby business, and maybe you have seen others in your industry have tiered pricing and it's made you think, I should do that. That's going to stop me excluding people, have people not be able to afford what I offer. Now, I know you probably came into this work because you love it, you're passionate about it, you want a more flexible way of working, and you deeply care. You know, you are a caring soul and you want everyone to experience the wonderful work that you do. So as a result, because of this real caring personality you have, you feel perhaps that you never want anyone to say, oh, I can't do your service. I can't take your course. I can't utilise your life-changing stuff because I can't afford it. So perhaps you're always looking for ways of being more accessible, more inclusive. And tiered pricing, you may feel that, okay, that's a way to do it. My client, my customer, gets to choose what they pay based on how comfortable they are financially. And instead of me just saying, pay whatever you can afford, I'm giving them 3 choices. Okay. Now, my goal in this episode is not to tell you what to do. It's not. I am a great believer that it's your business, it's your rules. So whether or not you want to do tiered pricing, I am cheering you on. I am. But I want you to be able to make an informed decision. I want you to make a decision that feels right for your business, for you, and ultimately your future clients, rather than jumping into something, feeling it's what you should be doing, or that it's going to be, beneficial long term, but actually perhaps you haven't thought about any consequences. So we are going to talk about the benefits and absolutely the downsides. Okay. Now, firstly, let's talk about the benefits. Well, of course, it does reduce the fear of, have I priced my services too high? And I know this is something that a lot of people in the baby business world worry about. Maybe it's their first ever time running a business and they worry a lot about whether or not they're charging the right price, and, if you're not watching this on YouTube, you won't be able to see that I did air quotes there, the right price. Is there a right price? And I know, because I did this too, we can often overthink that, and it becomes one of the biggest hurdles for actually getting out there with our business. So one of the possible benefits of tiered pricing is it decreases that fear, because you haven't had to choose one specific price. Another benefit is that you are more accessible. Someone on lower income could see your prices and be like, well, I can afford that lower one. I can do that course. I can do that class. I can buy that thing, because actually I can take the plunge based on going with the lower price. So therefore, they haven't had to miss out on your wonderful service that you offer. Okay. Now, another benefit of tiered pricing, as opposed to just saying pay what you can, is tiered pricing is slightly less awkward. You're not putting full power in the potential client to choose what they think your service is worth. You are giving them free choices, and you are creating those choices perhaps based on what you need to cover in your business. So you have still got an element of control. Now, I said it reduces the awkwardness, because I'm going to go on to the downsides now. I believe that one of the big downsides of tiered pricing, or pay what you can schemes, is that it does, for a lot of people, introduce a big dollop of awkwardness. I've been there. I've been looking at classes before, and it's offered me free options, and I have spent a long time procrastinating on what I should be paying, and that procrastination has held me away from booking quicker, because I've got the whole decision fatigue. Oh my gosh, should I be paying the medium one? Should I be paying the higher? Oh, the higher one seems quite a lot, but are they going to think I'm cheeky if I'm going with the medium one? For some potential clients, some potential customers, that will be hugely awkward. And that awkwardness could actually be a preventative factor from actually taking the plunge, because they feel totally uncomfortable with making that decision. And on that point, you are giving the decision to them, to someone who hasn't yet experienced your offering. How can somebody who hasn't yet fully experienced what you offer fairly decide what it's worth? Whereas you, on the inside, that knows what level of service you're offering, knows what it's going to do for those people, are much better placed to decide what the value is, Whereas giving them that decision, well, they may not know the value until actually they've experienced it. But actually then, at that point, they've already paid. And this all totally undermines your confidence as a business owner. It can look like you are not truly confident in the value and the worth of what you offer. The underlying message could be that actually you're not sure what you offer is that good, because you're letting people choose what to pay. And ultimately, the way to boost your bookings, and I've talked about this many times on this podcast before, is make it blooming easy for people to book. Actually giving them lots of choices, giving them the like power, actually that can be a real barrier for them to book, because although yes, it may feel more affordable if they choose the lower tier, some people are going to feel so awkward about that, and that awkwardness might actually be a preventative measure and might lead to lower bookings across the board. Another consideration, another one of the downsides, is that whilst we may consider tiered pricing to be really inclusive, allow people of all types of incomes to access your offerings, there can be a consequence. And sometimes business owners that offer these tiered prices do feel an underlying resentment. You know, if they teach their course, for example, run their classes, and they look at the people attending and see what they paid, we're only human. And if we are giving so much, over-delivering, yet maybe not receiving what we need, it can lead to burnout and it can lead to resentment. Now, this is a blooming great approach if actually you don't need to earn money through your business. You know, if your business is more of a passion project, more of a hobby, you want to, just touch people's lives, great. Maybe this is a great approach. But actually, if your business needs to put food on the table, it needs to be sustainable, it needs to be consistent, tiered pricing might actually undermine that. You are never going to know what you're going to be earning month on month, because actually the decision will be made by your future clients rather than yourself. That can actually be a hard pill to swallow. And long term, it could actually mean that you stop your business far sooner than you'd ever want to, because actually you're feeling burnt out. Perhaps you're even feeling resentment. Perhaps you're feeling that you overwork and under-receive. Now, we may look around and we may see some people operate in this type of model in their business, and it may really work for them. But we never truly know, do we? We don't know their individual circumstances. We don't know what they need to earn in their business. We don't know whether they've got a huge financial buffer coming from somewhere else. It's easy to feel that just because a certain person's doing this, actually we should follow suit. Now, you can probably guess what my personal opinion on this is. My personal opinion is I don't believe it's a great thing to do unless you have got that financial buffer. I know from so many of the students and graduates that I've supported through Love Your Birth that so many people in this industry need to earn money, and they may have like big financial blocks. You know, they may already feel very awkward about asking for money. And in my opinion, this way of pricing can actually make this awkwardness even worse, And I also know that it can absolutely undermine your desire to have a sustainable business. Please hear me when I say you can be passionate about what you do. You can be caring. You can believe that everybody needs your thing. But it doesn't mean that you have to be affordable to everyone. Because tiered pricing or no tiered pricing, you're never going to be accessible to everyone anyway. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you are saying that the people that can't afford it can't do it. It might just mean that your business isn't in a position to be able to enable them to yet. Maybe one day when you've built your business up, things are consistent, you are feeling like, my goodness, I'm getting a huge financial reward for what I'm doing. That might be the perfect time to think about ways of allowing people that perhaps can't afford your service to be able to. Because you're then in a position where you are covering the essentials. You're not, scrambling together to make ends meet. You are comfortable, and you are then able to say, if money is a barrier when booking my service, please get in touch and I shall see what I can do. And it's very different taking it on a case-by-case basis than forcing everybody to decide what they want to pay. Remember, your work, blooming wonderful. You do incredible things. You change lives. And what you offer has a clear value. Don't forget that when deciding your prices. Don't feel that to be great at what you do, to be a great human, you have to almost deprive yourself of what you need. So I really hope you found this episode useful today, and I hope it's give you confidence in however you decide to charge for your service. And actually know that clarity, simplicity actually can help more and more people receive your service. And remember, lovely one, you are in this for the long game. We are not here just to do a bit of this work and then burn out. Actually, you are going to have the biggest impact if you build a solid business that actually gives you what you need it to, as well as your clients. And like I said, when you are in a position where you are super comfortable, when you are feeling truly abundant from what you are receiving from your business, you are going to be in a better place to think about how you can make your classes more accessible. In the meantime, just remember, if your specific service isn't accessible to someone because of finances, it doesn't necessarily mean that you are blocking them from ever receiving that thing. If we think about hypnobirthing, for example, back when I was teaching hypnobirthing locally here in West Yorkshire, if somebody couldn't afford my service, I wasn't saying, good luck, enjoy your birth, hope it goes well. Actually, there were so many other ways that they could access hypnobirthing. They could buy a book. They could do an online course. They could watch YouTube videos. They could binge on my social media content. They could absorb everything that I'd written in my blog. It didn't mean that I was saying, no way are you benefiting from these wonderful things. I was just being very clear what my service costed so that I could build a firm business to be able to then think about how I could be more accessible going forward. Again, I hope this has been super useful. And as always, lovely one, keep on changing lives. Take care, and I shall see you soon. Bye.